in today's video, I'm going to walk you guys through how to set up your gateway, how to set up your Wazidev so that it communicates with your gateway and upload your data to the cloud. So let's just begin with the gateway. Okay, so first you have to open up a browser and then you go to waziapp.io like this. So waziapp.io. So after a while of loading, you come to this page and you are looking for the gateway ISO image. So you just go here to downloads, you click downloads, and then you download the latest ISO image. So you just click download here and you wait for a while. So the size of the image is 2.5 gig. So you click download and then you wait for it to download. I have downloaded it already, so I don't need to do it all over again. You need to download a few other softwares. You need to go to this site. I would add the links to the sites in the description of this video, or I'll just add it to the video. The first software we want to download is the SD card formatter. So you just go ahead and copy, and then we'll go into the browser and then paste it, and then you press enter. So after a short while, it is going to load and bring you to this page where you have the SD card down here. So you can choose whichever platform you use for Windows or Mac, and then go ahead and download it. So once you are done downloading the SD card format software, the next thing we want to download is the etcher software, the one that we are going to use to bend the image. So you copy this link also, and then you visit that link. You have the download button right here on this page. So you just go ahead and click download. The last one we need is the advanced IP scanner. So we'll just go ahead, copy that link once again. And then so we can go ahead and download here, as you can see with a big green button. So when we are done downloading all those softwares, the first thing you have to do is install all of them. So I believe we all know how to install, so I will leave that detail out for now. So the next thing is you have to insert your SD card into an SD card adapter and then insert it into your machine if your machine has the slot for it. If not, find an SD card holder, insert your SD card into it, and then insert it into your machine. So after that, open the SD card formatter. When the software starts running, this is what it's going to look like. So you can see here by default, it's seeing the SD card, which is card D, and it's saying that the SD card is about 16 gig. So we'll just go ahead and format that SD card. Right, so it's done. So we just go ahead, click OK, and then we close the software. Next thing is we have to write the ISO to the SD card. So we use the Balena software we downloaded, the etcher software. You have to select the ISO image you downloaded, the 2.55 gig ISO image. So we select this. You look for where the image was downloaded to. Mine was downloaded here. So you can see this Wazigate _ latest. So you open that and then you select the SD card. So it's seeing the SD card, it's already selected. If yours is not selected, please go ahead and select it. And then you click flash. So after writing the zip image we downloaded, it is validating it. After that, it will tell us it is complete. Okay, so now the software is done running. As you can see here, flash complete. So the next thing we'll do is we'll remove the SD card from the PC and then insert it into the Raspberry Pi. And then we plug in the Pi's adapter or charger and then insert the USB into the Pi so that it turns on. And then from there, we'll just wait a few moments for everything to boot up. This can take from about a minute to about 2 or 3 minutes to fully be ready for operation. Let's just go ahead and create our WhaziApp account. So you head over into your browser and then you go to waziapp.io, and then here on waziapp.io you click IoT platform. So it brings you here where it says try WhaziApp. So you click try WhaziApp. It would ask you to log in, but because you are new users, you don't have a login yet, so you have to go ahead and register for it. So you click register and then you follow through the process and then get yourself an account. So basically make sure to keep the email and password in mind, because that is exactly the same credentials you need for your gateway to be able to log onto the WaziCloud platform. When you're done with creating your account, you just come here and enter your details and then log in, and then it would bring you to this page here. So on the left here you have projects, devices, gateway, notifications, and settings. So projects, this is where you find your project. You by default don't have any project and you don't have any devices. When your Wazidevs or your sensors come alive, they will show here in devices. When your gateway is also alive, it is going to show here. But for now, let's just go back and then finish setting up the gateway. On your Wi-Fi list, you should see Wi-Fi hotspot that goes with the name Wazigate underscore a couple of characters. So those characters are your MAC address, the gateway's unique MAC address. So you can go ahead and then click that, connect to it. So the password for connecting to this gateway is LoRa Gateway. Anything that you have to sign in on your gateway has the default password LoRa. For me, because I am right now with a router with a LAN, I just go ahead and plug in a LAN into the gateway. That also works fine. So I will be connecting to this. So you just go ahead and then connect to it. Now you are connected to the gateway. But how do you access the gateway? Because you don't know the gateway's IP address. So then you go back to the software we downloaded earlier, the advanced IP scanner. So you just search advanced IP scanner because you've installed it already. And then you go up here to view, and then you make sure you uncheck show dead, because what will happen here is that it is going to show you a list of devices that your router was previously connected to, or your devices were previously connected to, and you don't want that. You just want it to show you the live devices on the network. So make sure you uncheck show dead, and so you click IP, and then it's going to give you the IP range of your current network. So if you are connected to your gateway, you are going to see probably a different IP address than what I have here over the Wi-Fi. Yeah, so then you click scan. Okay, so down here we can see Wazigate, manufacturer, the Raspberry Pi Foundation. So you just go ahead and right click, and then you go to copy, and then you copy IP address. Then you can go ahead and close this window, and then you go back into your browser, open a new tab, and then paste the IP address. So when you press enter, it's going to bring you to this interface, and then this particular interface is being served from the gateway. So you just go ahead and enter admin. As you can see here, default username is admin, and then default password is LoRa Gateway. So you just go ahead and enter LoRa Gateway, and then after pressing enter, it logs in and then brings you here. So what you need to do is you can name your gateway just so that it is very clear to you which gateway you have, for people that might have like a number of gateways. So I will just go ahead and name mine Kumasi Hive. So that's the name of my gateway. The next thing you have to do is connect your gateway to internet. For me, I already have internet being served through the LAN cable I've connected between the gateway and my router, so that is no problem. But for you, you connected using the gateway's Wi-Fi, default Wi-Fi, so you would have to connect the gateway to another existing Wi-Fi. So you can perhaps like take out your phone, go to the hotspot session, turn on your hotspot, and then you go down to settings, and then what we need to concern ourselves with is the Wi-Fi. So we'll click Wi-Fi here, and then it's going to show us a list of Wi-Fi networks. So if your hotspot is on, it's going to see your hotspot. So I can just click Hive co-working, enter your password here, and then you click connect. Your hotspot you saw here earlier is going to disappear because the chip that was being used to create this hotspot is now being used to connect to an already existing Wi-Fi network instead. Notice that your gateway has now connected to your phone, which is a different network. So now you have to find the IP address of your gateway again. And how do you do that? You have to go back to the IP address scanner that we used earlier, and then just scan. But before you do that scanning, you have to make sure your laptop is also connected to that same hotspot, because if your laptop is not connected, then your laptop and your gateway are not in the same network for your search to be successful. And so once you find the IP address and then you enter it, it's going to bring you back to the same interface you saw earlier. So far we've changed the name, we've connected the gateway to internet. You now need to enable the gateway to sync to the cloud. That's the gateway should be able to send information to the cloud and get information back from the cloud. So send information here and get information back. So you can see here in the WhatsApp dashboard, I don't have any gateways showing up here, no gateways to be displayed. So what you are supposed to do here at this point is to go to sync, and then over here you enter your username. So that's the same username, that the email you used for logging into WhatsApp when you created it, your account. So you put the email there, and then you put the same password that you used also here, and then you save. So after a while, that is that, and then you click this sync button here. So it's going to do some weird stuff, and then after a while it will just render this inactive, so you will not be able to click and change anything again unless you turn this off before you can do that. So these are the only two things I added here, just my email and then my password, the same ones as the ones I use in logging in here. So if you do that properly, after a short while you realize that a gateway would join the cloud here. So let's just give it a little bit for it to show. The internet is a little bit slow today. So while that is happening, we'll just go ahead and check out the other places. So you go back to dashboard. This is your gateway. This is where you synced just a few moments ago. Settings is where you check um, your connection statuses. So you can see here it says I'm connected to the Ethernet, and my MAC address is this, and my IP address is also this, and I'm using Ethernet 0. Wi-Fi, I'm not connected to any Wi-Fi. It shows you that you have rather created a Wi-Fi um, access point, which goes with the name Wazigate B827. You can see this number here matches the MAC address here, and then your clock, and then this is where you shut down or restart your gateway. And this is a blackout protection. This is like a feature where if you were doing something and the gateway goes off and it comes back, it kind of like saves your stuff so that you don't lose anything. This feature is not available at the moment, as you've seen. So we can see now here on the WaziCloud that after a short while, the Kumasi Hive gateway we created is showing up here. You can see with this green link here, which simply means that the gateway is online. When this green link becomes red, it means that the gateway is offline. So let's go ahead now and then look at how to add new sensors or send sensor information from one point to the other. So I'll open up this window again. For sensor information, we have all the code stored in the WhatsApp GitHub. So you just have to copy that link and then paste in your browser, and then after a short while, it's going to show you this repository. So what you have to do is you just have to download the entire repository. So you just go here and then click download zip, and then it will download the zip file for you. Okay, so let's just say you've downloaded it already. I have already, so I don't need to do it all over again. So to download it for you, so you just go to your downloads, you go to compressed, because that is where to download it to. So for me, it's here. You can see here it says Wazidev master zip. It's just 3.65 megabytes. So when you extract it, you get this folder, and in this folder are a number of files. So in order not to stress yourself too much, you just highlight all these files, copy all of them, right? You copy all of them, and then you go to where your Arduino folder is in your documents. So by default, when you install the Arduino fresh, it comes to documents. So you just go to Arduino, and then right here in the Arduino folder, I'm not talking about enter any other folder. So when you enter the Arduino folder, just paste it right here in the Arduino folder. But before you do that, make sure you don't have the Arduino IDE open. So as you can see here, my Arduino IDE has not been opened so far. So you paste it, and then after pasting it, you can now open your Arduino IDE. So I'll just go ahead and open my Arduino IDE. So when I open it, you realize that, well, and it's showing this already. Don't mind this. So when you open it, it will now load the files, but what you should focus on is this LoRaWAN over here, and then the one that you want to be most concerned with is actuation. So you can just open the actuation code, which is basically the code that I have opened here right now. So there are a few modifications that you have to make to this code to make it work on your end. So for this particular code, I have done that already, and the modification was basically adding a particular function that allows this particular function. So adding this, and then a few more lines of code, which is here, up here, this that allows you to decode the information that is received from the WhaziApp cloud platform through the gateway. So it decodes it from base 64. Yeah, so basically that is it. That is the code. So the most important parts to you guys is how to send your sensor data out. So this is how to do it. Take note that over here, up here on these lines, there is device address. So this is the device address, but then it is summarized here for you. This is what it actually is. This is also the app security key. So this is the security key. It's very long, but this is the same security key summarized here for you. And then there's the network security key. So that is also summarized here for you. So you would need these three keys: the device key, app key, and network key, later on in this tutorial, to allow the code to be able to allow your Wazidev to be able to communicate with your gateway. So I'll send you this piece of code specifically. So all that I added to the piece of code was I added a DHT sensor library. So you can see here dht.h. My DHT is connected to pin 7. I have a DHT 11, and I'm declaring the DHT here as an object, and then I go ahead to initialize the DHT over here. That's the few things I added to the code. So anywhere you see this long lines is something I added, so you can remove it if you are not using a DHT sensor, but you can now replace that space with whatever sensor you are using. So let's move on. So this is where you assign the sensor data to this particular piece of code to send it out. So all you have to do is just replace this variable here with your sensor data, or the variable that is holding your sensor data. So the code that you guys will download from GitHub will have sensor data here that is pre-coded. Like, the sensor is not attached, so we just went ahead to add a dummy value here to be 20.3 or so, 20 point something. So I removed that from there and attached an actual DHT sensor, and then I added the variable here. So that's all you also need to do. So if you are working with something like a humidity sensor, or you're working with something like a air quality sensor, just go ahead and write the code that allows you to get air quality sensor data from the sensor, and then just assign the variable that is holding that data here. That's all, and the information will go out. So the next thing you need to do is go back to the gateway. So your gateway, so this is your gateway interface. So now you have to add the sensor device. Yeah, so Wazi test. So then I can go here, up here in the right corner, upper corner, click this, and then click make LoRaWAN. So I want to make this device a LoRaWAN device. Remember, the code is a LoRaWAN code, and it gave you what, 3 IDs to use: device ID, app key, and then network security key. So over here you can see it's asking you the same thing: device address, network S key, app key. So you go back here and then copy this, and then you go and paste here. So this is that network S key. Let me check. So this is network S key, and then this one also, you copy this and then you paste. So once you are done pasting all of that, you can just click save. So now you can go ahead and plug in. You can now go ahead and plug in your Wazidev. Also make sure that you select the right board and processor here. So your Wazidev is a Pro Mini, Arduino Pro Mini. So you make sure from the board space you select Arduino Pro Mini or Arduino Pro. And then for the processor, we have a 3.3 volts, 8 megahertz Atmega 328P. So you make sure you select that also, and then you select your correct COM port. So let me plug in my Wazidev and then select the correct COM port in a short time. Yes, so after adding, or after plugging in the Wazidev, you can see here that it's accepted at COM port 5. So we'll just go ahead and upload the code, and you can see the code is uploaded successfully to the board without any errors. All right, so it's done uploading. Also notice that the communication speed is at 38400. So when you open a serial monitor, you make sure this is also set to 38400. You can see the stats. It says LoRa1 sending, says okay, LoRa receive, and then so you would ask why LoRa send, LoRa receive. So what this does is that this code allows the board, the Wazidev, to send out sensor data to the gateway, and then right after sending the sensor data out to the gateway, it listens to see if the gateway has any information from the cloud or from itself for it. So if let's say you had an actuator on the WaziCloud platform and you went to toggle the actuator to maybe on or off, as at the time when you toggled it, that information was sent to the gateway and then queued on the gateway. So the next time um, that device, which is this Wazidev, reaches out to the gateway to send sensor data to it, the gateway would also quickly send that information to the Wazidev. So for those of you doing actuation, that is good news for you guys. Okay, so now let's go and check Wazidev and see whether so far any sensor data has come through. You can see here automatically on the gateway, it creates temperature sensor 1 with a value of 30, which is actually the temperature of the room where I am at the moment. So you can see the information keeps going out. And then when we come to the cloud, you can see that this card is green with 30 degrees. And this is green because it's live. The sensor is live. If the sensor wasn't to be red like this one, yeah, so that is that. So for actuation, we go to the gateway and then we go back here, go into this device, we come down here, and this time around we select actuator, and then we name the actuator. Let's just say Wazi actuator ACT, and then we go okay. So that is that. But to make the final configurations to this, we need to go into the cloud to do that. When we go to the WaziCloud, you can see it here. So this is where you can change the functions of the actuator. When we change the credentials to Boolean, this is what happened. It gives us an on or off um, toggle switch. So if we toggle this on and we go to the Wazigate and we go to dashboard, you see this is true over here. When we go back and we toggle this off and we come here, when we refresh, you can see this is also false. So it's happening in real time. Now let's go to the Wazidev and look at something. So here on the Wazidev interface, this Wazidev is getting is sending sensor data every 30 seconds per what we specified in the code here. So you can see from the um, payload section here, it's not received any payload yet. But let's go ahead and trigger it and then see what it gets in the next cycle. So we turn this on. You can see here that it's still false, but when we refresh, you can see it's true. Whether or not we refresh this, whatever value was gotten will be sent to the gateway nonetheless in the background. So you shouldn't worry about that. So let's wait. See here, true. You can see this true value here. So if I go back here and then I toggle it false, I'm not going to refresh this time, just to be sure that it comes here nonetheless. Just to show you it comes here nonetheless. So let's just wait and see. After 30 seconds, when it's sending the next sensor data, to go ahead and get that also as part of the process. So let's wait. Sending. Okay, sent, receiving. You can see the false here. So when we go ahead and refresh this page also, you can see the false come here. So this is basically the gateway and the Wazidev in a nutshell. So one other thing you should look at is the APIs. So you can see the sensor here, choose temperature sensor 1. It has an ID here, it's a specific unique ID here. So keep that in mind. So let's go to the API and check out what the API looks like. So API. So you have the authentication section here, you have the devices section, and then you have the sensor section. So let's just take the getting sensor data for instance. So it says the order is device sensor ID sensors and then specific sensor ID. If you want, you can try this out by entering values here and then clicking try out. You see a bunch of things happening here just to test what you are doing. But for the meantime, let me just summarize this for you guys. So it's basically in this form. So let's just say HTTP with all that follows. And if I should come here and let's just say I open a new browser, right? And I paste this here. So where XXX is supposed to be where you put your sensor ID. So let me just claim here and then let's go copy this sensor ID here and then go into that space and then paste it. And then after that, press enter and see what happens. So you see here, it brings the current timestamp, the timestamp when that sensor data was gotten, and then what the value is, which is 30 degrees Celsius. You can see here 30 degrees Celsius, and then it shows a bunch of other things, the temperature sensor name and stuff like that. So if you have an app and you want to display this temperature sensor in the app, all you have to do is get a link, a URL like this, where you have api.waziapp.io/API version 2 slash devices and then a device ID, which you will get by visiting the device and then seeing the ID. And then once you have the device ID, you can just enter it here like this and then go sensors and then you can go ahead. Yeah, so basically that is it for getting sensor data out to your app. Yeah, and then the last things are notifications. So you can create notifications. You can just click here, add notification. What will happen is that maybe you want to set your temperature sensor to a particular value that when it gets there, it should send the user a text message. So you can just come here, notifications, devices, you select your devices. So whatever devices you have, you find your device ID here. You can see this ID. This was what we just used now for the temperature sensor. So you can just click that as your ID, and then the sensor is temperature sensor 1. What do you want to do? So I want to send out an SMS if temperature sensor 1 value goes beyond 40. You can actually change this by just editing it and then setting it at maybe 31, because room temperature should be something about 25, 27 thereabout. So 31 is quite high, so you can just set it to 31, and then you can write a custom message that you want to be sent, like room is warm, please turn on AC, something like that. You can type it in this field here. If you leave this as default, it would use it would put your device ID here and then the value here, the value that is actually being recorded, which is the 31. To put it here and then to add the device ID in this space. So who does this message go to? So it goes to me. When you were creating your account, you were asked to add your telephone number and your details. So when you click this, it automatically knows what your socials are. So you can either select your Twitter handle that you entered when you were registering your SMS, an SMS, because you entered your number when you were registering. So if you select SMS, then it's going to send you an SMS. If you select voice, then it's going to call your phone and recite this to you. It's going to call your phone and recite this to you. And if you select Twitter, it's going to write something on your Twitter feed and then tag you. And then you can also select an expiry date for the SMS. So if I want it to stop working maybe this weekend, I can just set the date for this weekend and it will stop working. So when you are done and you click submit, it will create the notification. I don't want to click it because right now the sensor is live. And note that as long as this has not expired and this condition gets met, whatever you say it should do is what will be happening over and over and over and over again. So I don't want to create this. So you can go ahead and create it if you feel you need that. So that will be the end of the introduction to the cloud platform, the gateway, and the Wazidev. So please go ahead and build.